Hey, what's going on, everybody? Benji here. I think I'm gonna close out the fancy week, the second fancy week, with something really fun. This is a saber that I have wanted to do for a very long time. It's one of my favorite sabers. And I know I say that about a lot of my sabers. They're all my favorite, I guess. But no, the one that I loved when I was a child, because to me, there's one that just, like, no matter what, it takes you back. And for me, that's the Return of the Jedi, the Luke V2. The V2 saber, I was originally not the biggest fan of. I was always a fan of the hero version, which I've done before. Like the creepy uncle that I have on this channel, and I love it. It's such a great saber. But the V2 grew on me so much, because when I was younger, I didn't know that there was two different versions of it. There's three technically, the V3, and there are different variations of on-screen hilts that were used, and I'll talk a little bit about that for those who don't know anything about the V2, the history of the V2. But yeah, man, Return of the Jedi. When I was a kid and I saw the green lightsaber, I was like, oh my goodness, they can be green. And it was just so much fun, and I've been a sucker for the green blade ever since, man. It's one of my favorites. It's my go-to. I love a green lightsaber blade. So what I have here is the KRxOR V2 that I got from the Saber Armory like a year ago. It's been a while. This has been a shelf display piece for me. I've kept it in my stand that I got from Canada Quest Designs, the light up one that's got like the Death Star panels that light up through it, and then I got a plaques for props underneath it. It's just been such a beautiful piece for my desk. I look over at it and I'm like, man, one day I'm gonna install you. So I did a video, my last video. I wanted to review the Golden Harvest V3 so badly, and I did. I had this saber completely ready for install, and I got the Golden Harvest before I got my CFX that I'd planned to use on this one. And I was like, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to do a Golden Harvest in it. So I did the Golden Harvest, and I love that board. Gosh, I love that board. It's so much fun. I'm still learning a lot. I'm still doing a lot of things. And I was just like, for a minute, I was like, I'm going to keep the Golden Harvest in this V2, and that'll be good for me. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, man, but I'm going to tone that Golden Harvest's potential way down just to have, this saber the way I want it. And I was like, once my CFX came in, thanks to my good friend Daniel Spencer, Old Scroll Sabers, he sent me one. We did a little trade, and yeah, man, I was like, all right, let me put the CFX in here, and then I'm gonna take my Golden Harvest soundboard and I'm gonna put it in another saber that's just I can go crazy with. It's one of my scrap flexes, and I'm like, I will totally be cool with having tons and tons and tons of stuff on it. But for the V2, I'm kind of a purist, and I'm aware you can take the Golden Harvest and you can, simplify. You don't have to have all the crazy blade effects and all the stuff. And to me, I was like, but I want to do that with another saber. So it was just a mix and match of like, all right, I jumped the gun on installing it into a saber. I should have waited for it, but I was so excited, so eager to see what it does, or what it can do, and I had a lot of fun with it. So I'll be installing that into my scrap flex the next coming weeks. But so enough of that. The CFX and Neopixel configuration on the V2. This is a Trooper Trent stencil that I did myself. All the weathering you see on here, I did myself. It may not be accurate. I think a lot of it came off, and some of it I missed, and it was my first attempt at a Trooper Trent stencil, and it was very hard to get. It's very, very meticulous, but a lot of fun, and I'd love to do another one. So not a lot of it is accurate, but I love the patina brown that I got, the effect that I got on the wind vane area. In person, you can really tell that it's different. The rest of it's black color, but that's got like a brown copper in there. I feel like I nailed that. The original prop has gaffer's tape in the neck, because this is usually like a copper brass neck type situation, because this is the stunt The V2 is the stunt thin neck for Luke in Return of the Jedi, and it was used also by Alec Guinness. I think his is very similar to that because it was the stunt version of this saber became this one. They put a Graflex clamp on it. They used a bunch of parts, and this is the one that they had the spinning emitter and the light spun, and that was one of the first things they tried to use this on screen for lightsaber effects. So it's got a lot of history to it. I didn't ding my emitter. I kind of like it clean, and I don't have the gaff tape. That's the difference. The only difference is, as far as I'm wearing the V2, I got a Sloth Furnace vintage clamp card, which is really cool. Got activation and auxiliary under the clamp card. All the stuff came with the kit that I got from KR Sabers. It's KRxOR One Replicas. They did a mashup collaboration, and I love it. I really do. I don't have any other V2s. I'd love to get a Solo Soul V2 and some other ones, but I was on the market for V2s a lot, and there were just none around. And I finally saw that this went, because I was watching their Etsy page, and it went on sale, and I bought immediately, and I was like, I'm okay with that. I'm happy. So the pommel's really cool. So when you get it, you get a display pommel, which is flat, and it looks really good. That's how I've been displaying it for the past year or so on the shelf. Very cool that they do that. Display pommel. And then this pommel is really cool. This is the Death Star window in the throne room. Death Star like behind Palpatine. How freaking cool is that? Man, I love it. It's just such a cool little detail. Obviously, it's not accurate, and it's a little wild, but man, it makes me smile, man. There's like it's just a little hidden detail that you may not notice, but I love it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. with the blade. We're 7 minutes in. I'm trying to do it around the same time, guys. So I have a bunch of quotes or a bunch of fonts on here for Luke Return of the Jedi. You've got some from Fonts by Forze, and I got some from Kyberphonic Fonts, and just I don't think I have the K-Sith one in here. I need to put K-Sith on here. I think I need to get his LS6. I don't know if I have it for CFX or Profi, but I'm gonna have to get that one. Okay, so the Neopixel setup in a thin neck. I've been asked this by a couple people. It seems to be very, very popular. Everyone wants thin neck Neopixel. It's just a little bit more difficult to do. So I trimmed this down because you got to get the Neopixel connector in there, and you have barely any room to get a blade in there. So what I do is I got Christian Gale RGB Custom Sabers. I messaged him directly. This is a long time ago. I've talked about this in my Creepy Uncle video, and I had him make me a recessed blade connector. So what this does is it gives me a little bit more room to get the blade in there. And so how I made the connector for the inside was I took the Neopixel blade ends for the blade, flipped it, and sanded down where it would normally insert in. So it's kind of flipped, laid in right about here. It's about the size of a quarter, like the width of a quarter. And then the pins are laid in the circle and straight up so it aligns perfectly. Alright, let's play. And the blade's great. The blade's beautiful. I'm going to go show the blade off. We'll do some sound fonts. And then I'll take the blade out and talk a little bit more about it. And then you all know I like to talk. So let's go ahead and get to it.
You're my ride. I won't leave you.
So this is Daddy Issues by Fonts by Forze, or as I like to call it, Fonts by Forze. No, not Forze. Fonts by. What am I doing? What? Fonts by Forze. Sorry, man. I'm all confused because I'm messing myself up.
Sound bank selection.
William Luke Skywalker.
Daddy Issues, Fonts by Forze, you guys. the Jedi. Hilt, you don't got this. You're a fool.
There is still good in him. Take your weapon.
If you're hearing any of the clanking, it's the D-ring. Sometimes I put a little bit of E6000 in them to kind of get it to not clank so much. I may do that to this one, but I might not. This font has a ton of quotes and Easter eggs and all that stuff. I've reviewed the font in its entirety on this channel, but yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and go through some of them because they're a lot of fun. So, lock up.
You couldn't bring yourself to kill me before, and I don't believe you'll destroy me now.
There's a lot of end quotes and lock up quotes.
Indeed, you are powerful. Good work.
There's just something about swinging a green Luke V2 weathered with that sound, with the sound on it. It's just, there's something about it. It's got a lot of prions as well, so.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Blasters. Force wave. Do I have a track on here? I think I do. Hold on, it might be the throne room. Yeah, it is. I'll never get tired of that. Oh, I'll never get tired of that. Alright, that's just the first font, y'all.
Sound bank selection.
Welcome, Luke Skywalker. I'm a Jedi, like my father before me.
I think this is The Return by Copperphonic Fonts. Look at that. Snap hiss-a-roo, man. Oh, I timed that wrong. I couldn't get to the button in time, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm in love. I mean, I've always been in love with the V2 since I found out about it. That looks so good. Alright, sorry guys. I'm like not even talking. I'm just like playing it and letting it swing. This is probably, you know, there's a couple of you who are like, yay, finally shut up. But like, I'm sorry. I'm just in it. Alright.
Sound bank selection.
I'm a Jedi. Take your weapon. Strike me down with all of your hatred.
Okay, so this one, this is another Kyberphonic fonts. So this is actually, I kind of cheated here. This is Grumpy Uncle. It's from The Last Jedi, but it was another Luke thin neck saber font, and I was like, I'm just gonna change some of the quotes, like the font wave and the boot up. But I love the home, and it's just different, but I love it on here. Got localized lockup. Ooh, easy now. Do I have a song on this one? Oh, actually, there's plenty of songs on this one. I forgot. Alright, moving on.
Sound bank selection.
Your skills are complete. Indeed, you are powerful, as the Emperor has foreseen.
So force wave on here?
It is pointless to resist.
Sound bank selection.
Your skill.
You gotta have Palpatine laughing on here. Come on, man. If you don't do that, you're just missing out.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
Oh, yeah. I love this one. Get your accent swings, all that good stuff. Man, this looks so good on camera, too. Alright, so. This font is, again, I cheated. This is Little Green Friend by Kyberphonic Fonts. It's Yoda's lightsaber sound, but they're very similar with Luke's. It's kind of that high-pitched. See if I can get that tip drag. Just right here, tip. This is more on a lime green, I guess, but it looks really good. Remember the force waves?
Your skills are no match for the power of the dark side.
Yes, I had to put that on there. Alright, I think I got one more font.
Sound bank selection.
Give yourself to the dark side.
This is Hero by Genesis Custom Sabers. Is there any music on it? Nope. Oh, so good. So yeah, I think that was a quick run through. That was a quick run through.
System menu, exit menu.
Welcome, young Skywalker. So, you have accepted the truth.
I accepted the truth that you were once Anakin Skywalker. Man, y'all, I'm very happy. Very, very happy right now. I think you guys can tell because I didn't even really talk during all that. During all that swinging and whatnot. I was just sitting there like, yeah, here comes the next font, here comes the next song, here comes the next sound. I wasn't even talking about it really. That's a rare one. So this hilt just screams my childhood. I love this hilt very, very much. It's a very tight install. Normally you have a lot of people who have done this hilt will do it with a fixed chassis in here, and then you also have the option. This is a very cool design, which I didn't go for because I was like, at the time I might have only had this option, or I just chose this option because it was cheaper. This hilt has a J-locking system for the inside, for the grenade section right here, and right under the clamp. There's about 3 points that have a J-lock, so you can put it in, and there's these nylon grub screws that you can loosen and tighten, and it gives it a guide. So with that, the reason for that is so you can have a crystal chamber in here, and people have moved it and slid it open, and then it's you know, you got your, however, they supplied a crystal chamber that would work for it. I've seen people do their own style and take on it, which is really cool. But I just decided to go with for the longest time I thought this was going to be just a static hilt anyways, just sitting on my shelf, and me being like, yeah, that's my Return of the Jedi hilt. What's up, homie? But this, after staring at it for so long, I'm like, I gotta install it, man. It's gotta have some life brought to it. So, very, very happy with it. But what I ended up doing was I went with the classic sled design chassis. Take this off, which is awesome. I love it. Speaker's right there. Yeah, normally the speaker is a pod that comes out with like magnets and a little pogo pin system, but you got a retention right here, and then I'll do it real quick. It's not pretty though, you guys. I had to use some electrical tape to close the distance in speaker. And then, yeah, I got it's super tight. There's like no room to play with it. But it is removable battery, so I can pull it out. But I'll put some electrical tape over the CFX. I know some people will cry and cringe at that, but this is my saber, dude. I don't care. I don't care that much. As long as it's protected and it's tight and it's fine, we're good. So, I mean, it is just super tight in there. That's what she said. You're not gonna get much play with a chassis system like this for this hilt. I'm actually surprised I did it. I'm just that good, you know what I'm saying? So you just gotta make sure your chassis doesn't move anywhere and it doesn't hit up against the speaker, and we're good. So yeah.
Father, you've arrived.
I love your Aaron. Bounce back for Zay. Yeah, everything I did to this, it was a total blast. I weathered it in all aluminum black, broke it down, got the hilt to be exactly the shade I was going for, that aged chemical look. And then after I did that, then I applied the stencils. So the stencils are really hard, and again, mine's not the best, but it gives off the effect, and I did a pretty good job for my first one. Because, I mean, there's a lot of little parts that you got to get with a stencil. I mean, it's everywhere. It's all over. And this may not be lined right, but again, man, this was a trial run for me to see if I can do it. Because it came with a kit, and obviously I want that. Some people, I see them, they just get it all, paint it, and then, you know, scrape it up a little bit, and then it's still the same effect, and it looks cool. It's enough. But for me, I really wanted as close as I could get to the original prop. And I feel like for first time, I think I did pretty good. But the Golden Harvest in it was very fun. It was fun. I was very tempted to leave it in there. And then I was like, no, we'll go with the original plan. We'll do the CFX because I'm only going to have a couple fonts on it. Probably not going to swing it around or do much with it because of the thin neck design and all that. So I was like, all right, we're just going to make it a CFX just like its brother over there, the creepy uncle that I have. The thin neck hero version. But let's go ahead and play some more of these. Oh, that pre-on. Some of these accent swings are hard to do with the blade in, so.
Let me look on you with my own eyes.
So good.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Such a good font, Aaron. And I don't know if you could heard it when I was back there swinging it and clashing it. The clashes have, every now and then you'll hear Luke just like grunting, and then like Vader getting hit and be like, oh. Alright, let's see if I do it. Hear that?
Bring yourself to kill me before, and I don't believe you'll destroy me now.
Can't tell you guys how happy I am that this thing is now done. A lot of my personal collection is pretty much being fulfilled this last year, which is great. I went a little overboard one year, and I just started buying hilts that I was like, I'll build eventually, because it got to the point where I was missed out on these runs that people would have, and I was like, oh man, I missed out. And now if I ever get one, it's going to be, you know, marked up and cost you everything because it's rare or something, or they're not going to make it again, it's the only run, that type of thing. So I started just grabbing what I could, and I was like, nah, I'm going to get that. I'll install it at some point. And then I waited also for the release of CFX. I waited for, you know, all these boards like the Profi, which I never even got to, and the Golden Harvest version 3. So I waited for a long time, and while I did that, I was collecting hilts and building and doing all that stuff. But I was looking at my collection after this one, and I was like, man, I'm whittling it back down. I'm installing all the ones that I've wanted growing up. And this one is just my childhood. I didn't even know it was my childhood. I always thought the hero was the lightsaber. But then after watching it and seeing it as an adult, learning more about the V2 stunt, this is used in, gosh, probably 90% of the movie, right? It's quite a bit, And once I saw that, I was like, oh, that's the saber. What have I been doing? I always thought it was the control box with the blinking lights and all that stuff, which I do have, and I have a very, very deep love for that saber. But this one right here is, I can't get enough of it. I keep on looking at it, and that's another thing. Haven't been talking as much during this video, so that lets you know I'm just drooling over this thing. But that'll do it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed everything. I hope you enjoyed this 2 weeks of Fancy Week. Back-to-back Fancy Week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope I entertained a little bit while you had quarantine going on. I hope everyone's safe out there, and you guys keep building, keep playing with your lightsabers, and may the Force be with you.